there are different reasons that people play games, and a desire to win is only one of them. And indeed, I think it's the smallest one. This figure illustrates how games can be evaluated through the different experience. The game as an experience is the second. There are so many great games. If you have a kid who loves mathematics, there are so many great games designed by great mathematicians. There's a great game designer by the name of Rainer Knizia, who's a mathematician and designs amazing games that are simple to learn. You can learn them in 5 or 10 minutes, but really hard to master because of all of the permutations that are valuable. And the third way that games can be used is desire for management of social situation. This is how I use role-play games and games in my practice. The games that most people know are the ones that we were introduced in childhood: Candyland, Monopoly, Battleship, Clue. These have very thin roles, but they all have roles. So in Monopoly, everybody's playing a real estate broker. In Battleship, everybody's playing a military admiral. And in Clue, everybody's playing a detective. I was working with a 2E kid who loved the game Battleship because of the deductive reasoning, but was sensitive to the game because they didn't like the idea of being in battle and hurting people. And so I didn't want that to be a limit to be able to play the game. So I came up with a way of changing the role. And I said, what if you and I both are military admirals and we went to military school together and we're best friends, and now we find ourselves on opposite sides of a war, a conflict. And so we're going to play where we are trying to miss each other's ships. And this kid loved this idea. And this changing of the roles changed the scope of the game. A lot of kids don't like those games where everybody has the same abilities. These are better family games. So if you are going to buy games for your family, these are games that I want to suggest because they have varying abilities. Every player in the game is going to have a different ability. So already role starts to matter. In Forbidden Island, this is a collaborative game where everybody is trying to gather these 4 treasures, but the island is sinking underneath. You need to get all 4 of the treasures and get off the island before the island sinks completely. And every character in the game has a different ability to help to meet that goal. One of the other games that I love to use is King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo does start in the base edition of the box. I know it sounds like I'm trying to sell games here, but in the power-up editions, they have different abilities. So if you're going to get King of Tokyo, I suggest the Monster Edition, which has all of the power-ups built in, or immediately start to buy the power-ups. Because what's cool about King of Tokyo is that the monsters are different and all have different abilities, can have different abilities. I was working with 2 brothers who had very high conflict. Both were 2E, and there was very few shared activities that they enjoyed. And I was working with them as a pair and found very few activities that they wanted to engage in together, but they both took to this game. And they both took to specific characters. I was playing different monsters every week, but they took to these 2 specific characters. And it was so great to be able to refine these roles. We took them out of the game because they enjoyed to playing with them so much. And we actually created backstories and stories based on these characters and started to make up stories about these, which takes us into role-play games. Role-play games are more storytelling devices than they are games. So there is a game system. There's often no winners in a role-play game. And these are really fantastic for 2E kids and 2E teens. And the reason being is it is very easy to fold in their passions and interests. One of my go-to games is a game called City of Mist, where every character creates a logos, which is their everyday life. When I'm creating the characters with the kids, I will often have them give their characters some of their everyday challenges, as well as their everyday strengths. But then also there's a mythos for your character. And in this game, a mythic character connects to you and you get their abilities and some of their intentions in the world. So you may be attached to Peter Pan. And I have a lot of kids who use anime characters, characters from their favorite video games.